Hello boys, girls and those who sexually identify as a blue-skinned anarcho-capitalist wearing a hockey mask. I'm the political ferret and we are back with you, Mr. Dapperton. First, thank you very much that you took the time to discuss my video. It was quite aggressive, but for your audience, me inclusive, well, we like that, so it doesn't come as a shock. I found it quite amusing in most parts. What I have to point out now is that a lot of the things you said were already answered in the parts that you cut out. In essence, the saying that if you call something differently, it does not change its nature. That's, by the way, what the leftists always do. Oh no, it's not a lion, it's a Maine bunny. Don't say they are dangerous, because don't you know that bunnies are cute and innocent? And don't say bunnies eat people, you Nazi! If it is a lion, call it a lion. And if something is state-ish, I think I can point out that, and frankly, I don't care if you say that the idea that someone who takes mandatory payments from everybody within a said area, no, it's not taxes, it's just a voluntary payment because we labeled it that way. If it roars like a lion and tastes like a lion and looks more or less like a lion, this thing is at least lionish. I don't say it's always a lion, or actually do most of the time, but however, that's not the point. I say it's at least like it. If it looks like a state and acts like a state, even if it is very small, sorry, it's at least state-ish, and a lot of the things you described are to a degree state-ish, and those things have the nasty tendency to evolve into states. And there are, of course, the more dreamy things, and I won't go into the mass games of how a militia could never fight a well-trained army. Oh, wait a minute, I guess I do, because it's so easy to debunk. The important factoroid here is shoot to kill. Not so well-trained people shoot in only 2% of the cases to kill, even in a war. Studies to these facts are as old as the gun, 2%. You can improve that by training people to make this enemy shoot a reflex. And this is what the army does in the last, let's say, 50 years or something like that. The US Army got this percentage up to 95%. So if Kapistan with his militia is attacked by Komistan with a well-trained army, good luck with that. Because even if you have the manpower, having 50 of your bodies killed for one of theirs is quite bad for morale, especially for a not so well trained soldier that just wants to go home. The devil is so often in the detail. But that's not the important part, because before we can go into this important and very interesting part, we have to clarify if it makes sense to do that. You see, I don't care about motivations most of the time, but in rare cases such as this, I do. And that's the saying. Why did you what you did? Meaning try to find weak spots to attack my arguments and not seeking common ground. I mean, it's okay to see me as an opponent, fair enough, but the fact that you cut out so many explanations within my video gave it a really destructive spin. I mean, there are thousands of reasons to speak to a larger crowd, but in, let's say, 80% of cases, it boils down to 3 different things, and this is money, fame, and pragmatic idealism. So what about money? Well, you care about money. I mean, who not? Since you did say that you were hurt by this YouTube demonization crap. To make money, you have to tell people what you want to hear, so you have to be an entertainer, but I don't think that's your main motivation to do this stuff. Secondly, fame. If you want to be famous, if you want to be the big alpha, you have to kick down everyone who could be a threat to your authority. You end up with a structure that is more or less like a cult. Follower who will never dare to speak against you and defend you in your own words. You see, this leads to kind of a problem, because people who are near your ideology, but not in the same spot, are the most problematic people out there in the whole universe, because they are an alternative for your followers. And that's the purists we are talking about now, and in the extreme cases, extremists. And I don't like this bunch. And thirdly, there is idealism, especially pragmatic idealism. Someone who has an idea and wants to inform others about the idea because he thinks it's a good idea, wants to show them the benefit, and wants a society that is as close to that as humanly possible, even if it never reaches the goal that he wants to love to achieve. You see, your answer was kind of purist, and it started with the title. I mean, I said multiple times in my video that I am not against anarcho-capitalism. Does this trash anarcho-capitalism as an idea? Of course not. I just see problems, kinks if you want. It's like I go to a guy who constructs a car and point out that his car has no wheels, and he jumps up and says, "You just hate cars, you son of a bicycle driver, go away, I don't like you, I don't need your advice, I hate you, and what cars need wheels anyway?" I consider myself not an anarcho-capitalist. That's not a secret. What I do is explore different ideas. Some I like, some I don't like, some I start to love, some I start to hate, and anarcho-capitalism is in the like department. Minarchism, on the other hand, is a bit more appealing for my personal school of thoughts. But this philosophy is closer to you than to the status quo. If I get my will, you are 80% closer to your goal. Isn't that worth something? Does it really make sense to fight minarchism? And here is where the idealist and the purist differ. The idealist takes this guy that is between him and the status quo, and this guy who wants to fight the status quo, and goes with him as far as possible. And then he goes the rest alone, or at least tries that. The idealist wants no statue of him, wants no followers, wants no praise. He wants something done for him, for his family, for his tribe, whatever. Getting close to the utopia, that is what matters. The purist, on the other hand, fights him because he sees the other as a wrong and impure perversion, a heresy of his own pure and right idea. And that endangers his status as a leader of man. Power matters, control matters. The thing itself doesn't matter all too much. It's just a vehicle to get power, to get control over people. Think about what you wanna be and act accordingly. And please don't understand this as a lecture or something like that. I mean, I like your rough style, so I gave you a rough invitation to my discussion. My tone with, let's say, that guy T was way softer, because he's kind of a softie, isn't he? And again, I think your response, well, absolutely within your style, and well, be sure I'm not offended. The question is, what to do at that point? Would you see the realization of your dream, not to a full degree, but let's say to 80% or something like that, as a success or a failure? Does everybody have to agree to one correct point of view, to the one pure solution that is always right for everyone? Or is there one truth for every person on this fucking planet? I mean, are all the people who don't agree to you just plain stupid or just different? I mean, you told us in your doxing video, my sympathies to that by the way, that there are not enough anarcho-capitalists out there to even make a difference in the US election. Well, so you would agree that reaching the anarcho-capitalistic utopia is an utopia that you can't reach as long as you don't want to balkanize the United States into, let's say, 1,000 different states. Some communists, some capitalists, and so on. Which I guess is not an option you would like to push, isn't it? So, would it not be better to get just as close as possible? And to get close, you have to bait people like me and people who are bigger fans of the state than me to look in that direction, to go in that direction. Because every step in this direction brings you closer to your goal. And I mean, you might never reach it, but perhaps your children or your children's children, or who knows, but isn't it better if they're just closer to that than you are? if I am right and you are indeed an idealistic entertainer, think about how you talk to those who are working towards the same direction that you work to. Don't think of me, I do not matter. Think about these million peoples that are more or less like me. And these guys don't like extremes. Think about those who would want to go in this direction anyway, but want to stop going to that utopia a bit sooner than you. Don't be a purist. Let's work on solutions that have a decent chance to be realized instead of dreaming of ideal worlds that never have a chance in this brutish and stupid world.